Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's 10:22 p.m., Friday, the 7th of June, and I'm Bruce McDonald, and this is the Talamanca Review. Well, there's a lot to digest, a lot to take in if you're actually listening to me and you're actually taking the information in. There was a wonderful piece on Redacted with Clayton and Natalie Morris um, on YouTube. And they did an interview with J.J. Carroll, who's a former supervisor with the Border Patrol, and I think he's been retired 3 years now. But J.J. has been doing a lot of documentaries and other things to try and expose what's going on at the border. And I just want to touch on a couple of things. I said I might be exaggerating when I say 10,000 children a year go missing. It's like 500 a day, according to J.J. Carroll. It's epidemic. Like probably over 1 million children have gone missing in the last number of years, and probably over 100,000 a year. And there are massive facilities where they're kept, and you know what, I can't even talk about this right now. I don't want to. It's just, you know what, I don't need to do this to myself. My point is, for those of you who may be watching me with a hint of skepticism, let me tell you that you're going to be a number of years ahead of the mainstream and pseudo-mainstream, like Tucker Carlson's new network. Although, I like what he's doing, and I like what they're doing at Redacted. Clayton and his wife Natalie were mainstream media personalities working at places like MSNBC and CNN, and just becoming disgusted with it and packing up and going to Portugal and opening up Redacted. And they're the ones that did the story on the children at the border. I don't know if it's just me. I don't know if I'm just soft in the head and I'm, perhaps immune is what I am. Immune to the mind control, immune to all of the things that they're doing now to make it more and more difficult to perceive reality, and more importantly, to displace your energy into your life to have a meaningful effect. I think that's the biggest thing now, is that it's almost impossible to displace your energy into the world now to have a meaningful effect upon the world. For most people, I think I'm able to do it. I think I did it in The Devil in Us, a memoir of you and me. But, I don't sell thousands of copies of my book. Those who buy it and those who read it thank me profusely. They're deeply moved. It's simple, it's readable. And when that moment comes, to say, hey, what did you do? I will be able to say, this is what I did. These are the sacrifices I made. And I think it's important, even though I think that everything here is essentially a drama, a spiritual drama, you still have to act your part. And you're a human being and you come with a heart. Now, you don't have to have a bleeding heart. You don't have to get involved in things that are not your business. But I certainly think that being part of a country that's allowing hundreds of thousands of children to be raped to death or sent to the sacrifices is something that you're going to have to answer for. I think that it's just something that you're going to have to answer for. So, if you look closely, if you know where to look, if you know what to look for, you will see that everything that I've been telling you is 100% valid. Now, some things you're not going to be able to validate. You're not going to be able to validate the cosmology of the devil, you know, unless it's made clear to you. All the World War II stuff you can research on your own. All of the stuff on blood is pretty self-evident at this point. All of the stuff in the human devil is pretty self-evident at this point. I mean, this culture of soulless people is becoming epidemic on the planet now. People who act without any feeling, without any connection, or without any regard to their fellow human beings. I went through a phase like that, just in terms of being indifferent to the suffering of others and being a bit of a bully. And for me, this was about grade 5 to maybe grade 9, and then it was out of my system. You know, and I suppose you could make the case that it's acceptable when you're a kid. You're not really going to do any damage to anybody. I mean, you could say that there's a psychological damage for picking on a kid or bullying other kids when they're 8 or 9 years old. And I suppose there's some truth to that. I, of course, have paid my dues for all of that. You don't get any away with anything in life. So I've paid my dues for that. Got my comeuppance, if you will. But we've just reached an epic of misapprehension now, an epidemic of cognitive failure, perceptual failure. Now, granted, it's not happening right in front of you. It's not, well, in many instances it is, actually. And rather than intervene, people take out their cell phones and videotape it. And I suppose maybe that's a sane response. You know, I don't know what I would do in a situation like that where I saw a bunch of people beating someone up on the street and kicking their head into the cement. I don't know what I would do. You know, but these things are becoming all too prevalent now. This negative energy is just reaching a pitch where it's inescapable. It must be profoundly uncomfortable to just walk around now, to just be a part of North American society, Canada and the United States. And Europe is as bad or worse now. And some force has done this to us. You don't take down a society as powerful as Western society, as productive, innovative, and creative as Western society was in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s. You don't just take down a society like that without a plan. You know, this is the plan. This is what I was trying to express. It's a very well-defined plan. So it's basically kind of like you get used and then discarded. Used and then discarded is the way it goes. And so America and Canada and the West seem to have used up their utility and favor with whatever is controlling this planet, whatever forces are behind this. It's not over yet. Not over by a long shot. I don't think there's any tremendous organized contempt for the West. From what I've seen, even the people we consider to be tyrannical. When I say we, I mean our public speech, our public consensus, or our spoken consensus on something. I mean, even the Ayatollahs of Iran are on record as saying that they don't think the American people are bad. When they say death to America, they're talking about death to whatever this decrepit thing is in Washington. The Gavin Newsoms, the Nancy Pelosi's, the Chuck Schumers, the Mitch McConnells, all of these ghouls, that's what they mean. And so technically speaking, you should be on the side of the Ayatollahs. I know that sounds strange. It sounds strange just saying it aloud, but you should be on the side of the Ayatollahs because they actually have more consideration for you than your own government does, because it's your own government that's allowing this to go on. And this is a timed, scheduled, and deployed plan for the subversion of Western culture as it's identified with the white race and the Christian religion. Now, I'm one of those, which is the white race, and culturally I'm Christian. As you know, I was raised in a Christian home, and cultural association is part of something, even if you don't believe in it. The cultural association is a part of it as well. So I am culturally Christian. So I'm the target, but I left. I saw the little X drawn on my country, and I could see the way the governments were behaving. I could see the way the courts were behaving. I could see it, as I said, I mean, I became aware of it in 2002, 2003. With a download, just a sudden realization that, oh my God, it's this bad. The essence of the download was the controlled and deliberate demolition of the West. I had to unpack it and piece it all together over a decade. And it took me about a decade, till about 2012, 2013. And then I came here in 2014. And it's very difficult to understand what the emotional response is supposed to be to this at this point. Very difficult for me. I have a lot of one-on-one conversations with people. They seem to think everything's going to be okay, or they seem to think that they want to die in the place they're living. And I get that too. Why should you be chased out of your home? I was never really that attached to Canada. I'd already done one emigrant experience in Southeast Asia from 92 to 94 when I lived in Taiwan, and once you live abroad once, it's very easy to do it twice. You kind of get, for lack of a better way of saying it, enamored with it. The idea of traveling, the idea of living somewhere else. Now, mind you, actually physically building a house and moving somewhere the way I've done now, that's a whole other thing altogether. But I did it. And then sometimes I think, Bruce, why do you even do this? Like, why do you even tell people what's going on? And it's because I see it. And again, getting back to the emotional response. The emotional response. What is my emotional response to what I see? Should I be detached? Should I be, as the Sufis say, in the world but not of it? Should I only speak about spirituality and meditation and transcendence and ascension, which is an extremely important topic? Should I only speak about those topics? Should I allow the fact that I got a journalism degree and a lifelong addiction to information just go, like a heroin addiction or a drug addiction? Should I just let it go? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think I want to allow my heart to atrophy like that. I don't think that I want my feelings and my compassion for other people to die a death like that. Do I sometimes wonder if I'm wasting my breath, if the level of cognitive disassociation in people is so great now that they're not really understanding what I'm saying? Yeah, I feel that way sometimes. Absolutely, I feel that way sometimes. So if J.J. Carroll, the former border, what do they call them? I don't know, the Border Patrol, the Border Office, whatever, Border and Customs, Police, BCP, I don't know. Whatever you call that unit in the United States. J.J. Carroll, and you can find him on X, you can find him on all the social media. He's doing a lot of clips now, trying to raise awareness. You know, if he's right, and I think he is, and it's very interesting to watch his emotional state as he delivers his information. He's very honest. You know, this is a guy who worked at the southern border for 20, 25 years. And he's saying what he's finding out now, what he's understanding and what he's seeing in terms of what's happening to these children. And it's not out in the open per se, right? But they're literally running child brothels now. And most of these children end up dead. You know, so these are children literally, and forgive me for saying this out loud, literally being fucked to death over 6 months, a year and a half, 2 or 3 years. Now, think about how many people have to be out there for this to be a phenomenon. You know, we've seen decadence and depravity and violence and butchery and savagery throughout history. You know, you could tell stories about the Mohawk and the Ojibwa in Canada and how they used to torture their victims for 2-3 days, keep them alive in the most acute states of suffering you could possibly imagine. And then dismember them and eat their flesh and drink their blood. Barbaric, savage, demonic perhaps. Yeah, all those things. You know, there's Genghis Khan, the Mongol hordes. You know, what they did to civilizations, how they waged war. Napoleon, the French Revolution. The Romans. The Turks. The Ottoman Empire. The Bolshevik Revolution. The Holocaust. We've seen savagery, butchery, and inhumanity in the human record. But to the best of my knowledge, I have never heard of anything like this. I have never heard of hundreds of thousands of child prostitutes, prepubescent child prostitutes going right down to 1 year and 2 years old, being kept in renovated Walmarts in Texas, having parking lots that you have to have a special pass to get into, parking lots that can hold 600 cars, people coming and going all day to fuck children. I don't know what to make of this. Truly, I don't. I feel like Sheriff Bell in No Country for Old Men. This is demonic. In fact, that's unfair even to the demons. This is the human devil in full form. I don't think there's anything to do about this other than literally kill as many of these people as possible. I don't think they deserve a trial. If you're sitting on the fence and you're still wondering whether this is real or not, please, 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 snap out of it. It's real. Okay? The Hillary Clinton Huma Abedin video on the dark web, the one that 12 of 15 seasoned homicide detectives in New York who saw the video, 12 of the 15 have committed suicide because what they saw was so horrific. This is not urban lore. Patrick Bet David asked Anthony Weiner about this to his face on a podcast. You can see it all. What I do is I come in with the backstory. I come in with the dark theology. That's what I add to this. Okay? Why they're doing it, what the mechanics of it are. Okay? You could maybe look upon this as a form of negative ascension. They're trying to get their consciousness to the level where it's going to pass this test we're going through. And rather than try to be virtuous and try to be good, they're taking this left-hand path. And to ascend in that state of consciousness, the purity of negativity, the scarification of the heart required is quite something. It's quite intense. I personally would rather do the 8 billion years of reincarnations from mineral form back to human than do what these people are doing to try to ascend, if that's in fact what they're trying to do. This is still the biblical play. And it is a play, it is a drama. It's high school Shakespeare. That's what prophecy is. It's multidimensional high school Shakespeare. There's no God behind all of this. There's decrepit black magicians and a black priestcraft and various and sundry forms of parasitic non-human life. That's all it is. It's nothing to be afraid of. We have more going for us. We can defeat these things. We can defeat these things. This is why they do what they do in secrecy. Although it's becoming less and less secret now. But this is just the script. Nothing's changed. This is leading us to the false savior, the Antichrist. Not that I think that Christ was what people think the Christ was, but to stay with the play, to stay with the drama, to stay with the actors' roles that they've written, and they're going to follow that. Because these people aren't on-the-fly thinkers. They're not highly creative. Negative people forfeit creativity because creativity is an aspect of the creator, and you don't have it when you're living a very negative and devilish life of self-indulgence, ritual murder, blood harvesting, and all the garbage I talk about. You don't have a lot of creativity. They can steal other people's creativity, but they don't have a lot of their own. So what they're going to do is they're going to stick with the script. And the script is the Antichrist comes. So let's look at that for a moment. So this Antichrist character comes and he solves the world's problems. Well, how would he do that? Well, it's going on right in front of you right now. That's why I'm able to speak. That's why J.J. Carroll is able to speak. 5 years ago would be dead talking about these. Well, that's not true. I mean, I wrote The Light of Darkness 4 years ago. But, it's amazing how much has changed even in 4 years. I remember engaging people who read The Light of Darkness in 2020. I think that book came out in the fall of 2020. Stardust Ranch was released December 31st, 2019. And I remember talking to people in like October 2020. And they couldn't believe what I'd written down. This can't be happening. You're crazy, Bruce. Where are you getting this? Now it's the news. Now it's the news. Right? Unbelievable. So the baby rapers are going to be punished by the Antichrist. Not per se because he's against the baby raping, because that's the easiest way to gain our favor and to get into contract with us. Because remember, the whole thing pivots off of consent. Do you want me to end the baby raping? Do you want me to punish these people? I will do it for you. I will do it for you. That's the drama. That's the play. If you're cast as a witch in Macbeth, you have to say the line. What's fair is foul, what's foul is fair. That's the line. You got to play your part. Antichrist has to play his part. And these are all roles created by human beings. All due respect, fuck the prophecy. Prophecy is a mind virus and a spiritual cancer. You don't need prophecy to get by. The Creator is always in the moment, not in some future prophecy. The secret societies have had future predicting technology for quite some time. They had these things called looking glass, and there were 3 of them, and they had to converge on their opinion, and if they converged and all 3 agreed from different locations on the earth about what was going to happen 5, 10, 15 years in the future, it was 100% that was going to happen. So prophecy's not a great big deal. Now, I've never been impressed by prophecy. Okay? Never. Time is an illusion. Who gives a shit? So if time is an illusion, what does that make prophecy? The poetry of illusion? If prophecy is the poetry of time, allegedly telling you what God's plan for the future is, and time is an illusion, then prophecy is the poetry of illusion. There's no substance to it. This is just a kind of a free-form show today. I want to put something up on a daily basis. I have the time. Some of the shows aren't going to be as well thought out as others, but you might catch a moment of a truer feeling in me, as I just sort of let things slip off the top of my head. So prophecy is a bunch of horse shit, man. Okay? Astrology is a bunch of horse shit. It's accurate, it's valid, but it's really telling you about the bars on the cage is what astrology is telling you. Everything's happening. There's nothing beyond this moment. Nothing beyond this moment right now. Right now. Right now. Right now. Nothing else. And right now, the world is chaotic. Right now, if you have a heart and you feel, it's almost impossible to be alive. There are some things that I think transcend all models of spiritual interpretation. Oh, that's just karma. I don't give a fuck. I still want to cut their heads off. I can't be detached to that. I cannot be detached from raping till dead tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of children in basically NGO organized rape centers. I cannot be okay with that many Johns out there, that many customers for this kind of stuff. I can't be okay with that. I'm sorry. Forgive me, I haven't passed the spiritual test, Master. I'm not fucking okay with that. I'm okay now. I just needed a moment. So we're inching toward this Antichrist figure. Okay? Now, if I'm right, and there's no guarantee that I am, I'm just some guy like thousands of others yapping his gums on the internet. Your heart will tell you. If I'm right, your own intuition and your own spiritual support, whatever it is for you, will lead you to the affirmation of what I'm saying. But if I'm right and we've begun this Antichrist cycle, then this is all about putting some piece of shit on a throne in Jerusalem. So are all the things in place now? Absolutely. The Mossad and the IDF orchestrated October 7th. That's my opinion. Hamas is probably being paid by Mossad. Everything is double cloaked, triple cloaked, quadruple cloaked, okay? There's this total fucking idiot going around on the internet now. Former CIA guy. He has this frizzy fucking hair. He looks like an idiot. Andrew Bastamante or something like this. He's been on all the big podcasts. Can you tell me what the top 3 myths of the CIA are? Yes, I can. Number 1, they're not trafficking children. Are you fucking kidding me? People will believe whatever they need to believe to avoid the confrontation of this moment in history and what it does to their hearts. Oh, he said it's okay. They're not really. Oh, yeah, he used to work for them. He said it's a myth. My brother-in-law Bruce, or my friend Bruce, he's crazy. This Andrew Bastamante told me on the Lex Friedman podcast, the CIA isn't doing human trafficking. They're not trafficking the children. Virginia is one of the main states that this goes on. Right? Where did they find all the child pornography on the government computers? They found it at the Pentagon. They found it at the DOD. Like a disproportionate number of those people looking at child pornography. NASA. It's a fucking freak show. Kabbalistic Masonic freak show. That's what it is. Maybe they know something we don't, that it's all going to end. Maybe they know they're finished as spiritual beings, as individuated spiritual beings, and they're just going completely off the rails now. The last great baby orgy. You should be fucking livid. If you have children, if you love children. I love children. Got children here all the time. I had 6 of the little rugrats over here today. I was making pizza all afternoon. They love kids where I live. They absolutely love kids here in Costa Rica. Nicaragua, not so much. I mean, they love having kids. They have big families and everything. But it's a different story. But here in Costa Rica, the family and children are everything to these people. And it's nice to be in a place like that. There are no daycares anywhere in the world other than bullshit first world countries. Where mom's career is more important than raising 2 or 3 kids. Or dads. I don't mean to be sexist, but I think one parent should be at home. Ideally, if you want to hold to the ideal of equality, I think the female should be with the children till they're about 7. And if she wants to go back into her profession, I think the male should come in, quit his job, and stay with the kids till they're about 13, at which time they can come home from school and open the door themselves and prepare a snack. I'm not trying to be a caveman here and say women belong at home with babies. But for fuck's sake, man, don't give your babies to strangers. Don't don't put them in these daycare systems. They're all government run now in countries like Canada, Finland, Sweden, Britain, France. All of the Justin Trudeau put a pickle up your ass. Sexual education is going right into these daycares. Why would you put your kids in there? I want to work, Bruce. I'm a customer service representative at IBM. I make $68,000 a year. My career is important to me. Is it? Really? Meanwhile, all the Muslim families are coming in. The woman's at home making all the food from scratch. So they go and they buy 25 kilogram bags of rice, 25 kilogram bags of lentil. They buy all their spices and curries and their vegetables and everything they need. They go to the halal meat shop and get better prices because they've brought their whole culture over. And they can feed 5 kids for cheaper than like 3 North Americans can feed themselves, buying everything pre-processed or pre-packaged or half prepared at the grocery store. Rotisserie chicken. And you wonder why you're being taken over. Because the very values they've taught you are the things they're using to destroy you. Oh, women deserve equality. You know, Aaron Russo, the film producer, did a great piece on feminism. You know, he did this document. He got killed. He was still talking at a time where you got killed for opening your mouth. And he was a big-time film producer, Italian guy in Hollywood. Aaron Russo, Russo. Some of you may know him. He produced The Rose in like 1972 with Bette Midler. This is the movie that broke Bette Midler, right? She had a great voice. She was a great singer. She's not a great songwriter, but I think she played like I don't know who it was supposed to be, Janis Joplin or something like that, but it was an early 70s movie. Anyways, Aaron Russo made his bones on that movie, and he did a bunch of other movies, and he started hobnobbing with these people, okay? Like the who's who of America. Ended up at the Rockefeller House one day, sitting around, I think, having some drinks, smoking the cigars, and sitting around with all these connected people, and he says something stupid about feminism, and everybody laughs at him in the room. This is his testimony in his documentary. And they said, Aaron, we created that to break up the family and to get 2 income taxes from the same house. If the woman stays at home, we only get the income tax from the man, and they get a lot of tax benefits because he's got more dependents. We get the woman in the home out into the office. It breaks up the. It's all by design. This is not an accidental societal evolution that's gone wrong because we became too self-centered. Okay? Now, a lot of people might think that. They might look back the last 30, 40 years and go, wow, we've made some mistakes. How are we going to correct this? No, we didn't make mistakes. It's like a rail car on rails. They made the rails, they made the car. You get in the car, you go where it's taken you. And where it's taken us is complete self-importance and isolation. Okay? Self-importance is what you want to do is more important than anything else. And isolation is you live in your little isolation bubble. Okay? Whereas everywhere else in the world you go, people live in families. Okay? All through Latin America, Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Honduras, Guatemala, Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, Peru. Family. It's family. You go to China, it's family. Even the communist system, could not break the family in China. That's how strong the family is in China. When I lived in Taiwan, they cut down on medical expenses in Taiwan by having the grandkids take care of the elderly when they're sick, the grandparents. They go after school. Bring them their food, clean them, sponge bath them, everything a nurse would do. Your family does that for you. How did we go so far wrong? How did we commodify everything in our society? Everything has a price tag on it now. Everything. Even the young women put the tag on themselves now. Okay? This is how much I think I'm worth. Any takers? Okay? Nothing is really done by love anymore. Nothing. Everything I've told you in The Devil in Us is true, and if anything, I'm understating things. Understating. Not overstating, understating. It's that bad or worse. Still making TV shows, still making movies, still making Netflix documentaries about the evil Nazis while we're raping children to death in detention centers and depopulating the planet through vaccines and any other number of means that are going on. A more brutal genocidal depopulation is going on now than anything Hitler ever could have dreamed of, and we're still talking about the evil Hitler. That's mind control. That's what mind control is. All these diseases that never existed, attention deficit disorder, hyperactivity disorder, never existed. Okay? Doesn't exist. They literally invent diseases now to sell medicine to you you don't need. Do you realize how evil, how black-hearted, how contemptuous of people other than yourself and those you call like you have to be able to do that now? Something like that? Like, who could even think of something like that? I couldn't even think of that. Has the human conscience been destroyed? How does an honest person make a living in a world like this? How does an honest person make a living in a world like this? You'd be better off a Kabakar native at this point in history. You'd be better off building an earth bag house somewhere where you can grow fruit, grow tomatoes, grow potatoes, grow onions, keep a chicken coop. You'd be better off there doing something online to make $1,200 a month than you are sitting in that shithole of North America right now. You see the election in Mexico? A female Jewish president of Mexico, 37 candidates assassinated in the campaign. But we're not moving, but we're not going. Bruce, you're crazy. We're not going to the third temple of Solomon. We're not going to Jerusalem. Really? Show me evidence to the contrary. Milei in Argentina, born a Roman Catholic, converting to Chabad, and the probable likely candidate for the Antichrist, Donald J. Trump. These beautiful babies, beautiful babies. He's going to save us. He's going to stop the baby rapers. The hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of baby rapers. He's going to round them all up, execute them. That's the job of the Antichrist. It's all a stage show. Left, right, pull, tension. It's all theater. Bad theater at that. Not even what I would call good theater. I gave up cigars about a year and a half ago. I'm still vaping. This and coffee. About my only bad habits now. You know, one day I'm going to wake up and I'm just not going to give a shit anymore. And I'm just going to stop writing books and I'm going to stop doing podcasting and who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck? You know? I mean, clearly nobody gives a shit. Just when you look at the number of views on certain categories of video on YouTube. Got all the deluded religious people. Oh, it's the end times. The Lord Christ is coming back. Are you fucking kidding me? The Jews are God's chosen people. What God and chosen for what? You know, I actually have sympathy for the Muslims. They've been treated like shit since about 2002, 2003. Ever since Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld. Just absolutely shat on by Western media, bombed into submission. One of the greatest Muslim killers out there was Barack Hussein Obama. Hope. Hope and change. Hope and change. Yowza! Hope and change. Bombing weddings. Beat the shit out of those people. I'll tell you what, if there's a God these evil fuckers feel, Islam's in contact with it, or they would not be taking this level of punishment. Factor that into your thinking the next time you think Islam is crazy, or or your God is the only real God. Who are the evil people killing? I mean, Christians are coming, don't get me wrong, they're on the list. They're almost outlawed in North America now. You don't want to be a Christian in Justin Trudeau's Canada. You don't want to be a Christian in Joe Biden's America. You certainly didn't want to be a Christian in Barack Hussein Obama in his America. Barry Soretto, the caramel catamite. Look that word up if you don't know what it means. I mean, let's be honest. Most of these people leading us are probably raping the children. You think Justin Trudeau's not in on this? I mean, it's all right in front of us now, and we just fucking do nothing. We can't get that spark lit that unifies us. Take this medicine or you can't work. It's their system. I've already explained it all to you. Here and there, you get little bits and pieces of it, but it's their system. You've entered into a dependency contract with your government through the birth certificate, and because of that, they assume the right to kill you whenever they want. You're just a number in their balance sheet. Oh, you're going to consume this many calories of energy on an annual basis. You're going to use this many calories of energy for your transportation, for heating and air conditioning your home. Let's do some computational analysis of that. Well, we could restore our treasury if we killed 14 million of our 37 million people on Canada. Who says yay? Who says nay? I swear to you, man. It's really not any more complicated than that. Have you noticed this shaking trend in politicians? Like freaky movements, okay? Like the Deputy Prime Minister of Canada is this horrible fucking cunt named Christie. You'll have to forgive my language. You know, if you've read the book The Devil in Us, you know I grew up on the street with hoodlums and moneylenders and prostitutes, and I have a gutter tongue. What can I say? I apologize. I have a good heart. I do. I love you. If you're listening to me, I love you, okay? But sometimes the language is perfect, okay? She's a fucking cunt. What else could you... well, she's a very corrupt woman. And no, she's a fucking cunt, okay? Angela Merkel had it as well. There's this video of her at some war memorial or something, and she's just like this. Christine, look at Chrystia Freeland when she's in camera frame, standing behind somebody who's at the podium, and she's just off to the right or just off to the left. Look at her. It's so fucking weird. You think I'm exaggerating? Go and Google it. You could probably find it just doing a YouTube search for strange Chrystia Freeland movements. Okay? Angela Merkel. Joe Biden. Right? Joe Biden. And then try to read the body language of one of the younger and still more polished leaders, like Justin Trudeau or Emmanuel Macron. Okay? This is high Shakespearean lying. Everything about the projection of voice, we're going to make it better. And it's all slogans. It's like they're AI. It's like they're artificial intelligence. Everything is some propagandist. We will not take one step back on women and LGBTQ rights. This new conservative government, if elected in Canada, will set us back 20 years. You would fucking think there were roving gangs like the car and motorcycle gangs in the Road Warrior, perpetually driving around looking for trannies, transgenders, and homosexuals to kill and beat on the street. Call your police station. Say, are there unusually high statistics for assault, murder, or injuring transgender or gay or lesbian people? The staff sergeant they'll send you over to their statistics department. Police stations have statistics departments, by the way. As a citizen, you're allowed to call them. I've done this, by the way. I've done this. I do a lot of this stuff. I don't talk about it on air when I'm on my show, but I do this. This is what you're trained to do when you get a journalism degree. Call the primary source and ask your questions. And you don't have to be operating as a journalist. You can just be operating as a concerned citizen. So they'll send you over to the public relations or the communications department of the police service for your city. And you'll just say, how high are the stats for assaults on gay and transgender people? And they will fucking laugh on the other end of the phone. Well, we haven't had an incident in 6 months. Well, we had some transgender woman who was beaten up by her transgender boyfriend 4 months ago. Oh, okay. But, there aren't roving gangs of people like in the Road Warrior. So what is this war that Trudeau is fighting? It doesn't exist. Meanwhile, there's a fucking rape factory in North America from Central American children and children coming through Central America from other parts of the world. There are fucking rape factories at the border, and probably in Canada and probably in all the states now. Okay? I have a friend who told me when I went to Top Drop, the validate is what Top Drop means. when I went to validate the story I heard about what's going on at the border, I have people I can call and ask. Like these are not topics they would bring up with me. I have to ask the direct question, and they'll give me the answer. Who they are and how they know, I can't tell you, but they know. Okay? Is this prolific? I ask this. Oh, yeah. And then the first thing I'm told is Virginia, which is a fairly small state and is where the CIA is apparently epidemic in these pedophilia rings and captured children. You know, pedophilia isn't Uncle Joe having 3 scotches and actually accidentally touching his niece's private parts. That's what some people think pedophilia is. No. Pedophilia generally involves enslaving the children because once you violate them, you can't let them go. Okay? So you look for children nobody cares about, which apparently seems to be the case with these Central American children. And all is done officially. It's done with the U.S. Treasury paying for the non-governmental organizations. And remember, Jewish Family Services, Catholic Family Services are the 2 biggest NGOs. Okay? Fucking reptilians. Mother Teresa was a child trafficker. Fuck that cunt. Oh, Bruce, I can't believe you said that. Fuck that cunt, Mother Teresa. Okay? She was a fucking cunt. Horrible human being. And shame on you for not knowing that if you're offended by what I'm saying. Why the fuck should I be apologizing to you? You should fucking be apologizing to me. This is what happens when I go off script. I get a little emotional. I'm losing my non-duality. Suzanne would be displeased. It's all just energy, you know. Fundamentally, she's right. But like I said, you gotta play your role. You can't abdicate your role. You're a human being. Feel it. I think I'm good for tonight. I'm Bruce McDonald, and this has been the Telemancer Review.